Hi everyone, welcome to At America, the US Embassy's American Center, with me, Andrea, as your e-guide for this event. Today, we will be learning the tips and tricks to study in the United States and chat with Education USA advisor, 5 steps to study in the United States. But before we jump into our event for today, I have a little trivia question for you to answer. Our question for today is, which university has the highest number of international students in the United States? Is it A, Harvard University, B, University of Southern California, C, New York University, or D, Columbia University? If you think you know the answer, you can submit your answer to our social media platforms, and the first person who is able to answer correctly will be receiving a shout out later in the very end of the event. So now, without further ado, I would like to pass the mic to our speaker for today. She is our Education USA advisor. Please welcome Kak May Latupono.
Thank you, Andrea. Good evening, everyone. I'm May Latupono, one of the Education USA advisor here at America. And it is in this very wonderful evening, I'm happy to be here to share about Education USA and about 5 steps to study in the US. Are you guys ready? Okay, so before we get into our topics for today, I would like to know if anyone here know about Education USA. So, Education USA, we are an advising network under the US Department of States. And in this world, if we're talking about the worldwide, we are in more than 170 countries. In total, we have more than 400 centers all around the world. And in Indonesia, we'll talk about this later, we have 8 centers. So we are just a little speck of the big network. And we are here to help Indonesian students to study, basically to study in the US. But not only that, we're here also to promote US higher education and to help students to find their best fit schools and accordance to their needs, to their skills, goals, and dreams. So we're here to help, basically to help students by giving accurate, comprehensive, current, and unbiased information. We're not agents. We're so different from an agent because we are here as an unbiased network. We're not giving you guys any recommendations or any, we do not choose the school for you. So basically, we're here to guide you or give you a lot of good information or comprehensive information about studying in the US. So as I said, like in Indonesia, we have we have 8 centers. So if you see here, we have 2 centers in Jakarta, one at the US Embassy and one at America Jakarta. But in other cities, we have 1 center in Malang, 1 in Surabaya, 1 in Makassar, 1 in Samarinda, 1 in Medan, and 1 in Aceh. In total, we have 10 advisors. So again, if you guys are not living in these centers, we are very approachable online as well. We can do an online one-on-one session wherever you live, whenever you want to see us, by creating an appointment via Calendly. It's over there, or you can also scan the barcode on the corner. So we also have our emails here listed. So if you want to contact us, feel free to send us an email. But if you guys want to see us, want to have a conversation with us, you will be directed to Calendly to create an appointment. So yeah. So about our services, like what are we going to talk about more today, is to understand your steps to study to the United States. So the step number 1 here, we have research your options. So it's basically to learn about your variety or your wide range of options that you can do or like you can understand before you study in the US. So basically, for example, like getting to know what kind of the priority that you have, what the program, the level of study, the location is probably one of the priority. the tuition fee or the financial aid, this should be part of your research. And then the second one is to finance your studies. Basically, if you have any questions about scholarships, or even if you plan to self-fund your study, or if you have any questions about getting a financial aid, we can discuss that with you. And then the third one is to complete your application. As you know, if we want to study in the US, the application itself needs a lot of documents, and it takes a long time to prepare. So we are here to help you to navigate how to prepare your applications documents. And then we also give general information about visa, and the last one is to prepare for your departure. So as you know, probably in August is when the students usually start their first date of studying, and many of them probably going to go to the United States for the first time. And if you're feeling nervous, you can ask your advisor about that. But we also usually have an annual program here at EdAmerica called Pre-Departure Orientation. But again, if you feel like you need a one-on-one advising about that one, you can also meet your advisor. Okay, so why study in the US? Anyone here plan to study in the US? Okay, hi, nice meeting you. If I ask you why do you want to study in the US, do you have any ideas or any answers? Can you tell me? Yeah, you can just say. Because of the culture. Okay, can you tell me more about that? Oh, that's really nice. Okay, great. So basically to experience or get to know American culture. So that's one of the reasons why you want to study in the US. Awesome. Anyone else here? Yes, please use the microphone. Thank you.
So my name is Intan. I want to study in the US because I want to study in tech. US is one of the very mature technology. I want to study in California, to be exact. That's why, and machine learning and AI very much good, as you see. The vice president also said that. So I think it will be good for my career.
Oh, great. Yes, thank you so much for sharing, Intan and Samara. Yes, thank you so much. So yeah, basically, as you said, one of the reasons why we want to get study in the U.S. is one of the life experience. So like Samara said, like she wanted to experience the life that she watched on television or on YouTube before. And then the next one is also probably the quality of and flexibility of its facility, like Intan, right? Yes. So because it's the technology is it's a cutting edge technology or research. So one of those reasons is probably one of many other reasons why students usually choose to study in the US. But not only that, as we know that many prestigious universities or top ranked schools in the world are in the United States. Anyone knows one of those schools? Have any school in mind? MIT, great. Yes, and then as I said, quality and flexibility. Some students know, I want to study tech, I want to study MBA. It's one of the best is in the US. And then the cutting edge research. And also the life experience, like what we watch on YouTube, when we watch on television. We can have the first-hand experience when we study in the US. But not only that, we can also gain strong professional network. As we know that when we study in the US, we meet new people, we meet new professors, and from them we can learn and can broaden our network. And once we finish school, our resume would look so great because it's internationalized and it's very strong. Studying abroad, studying in the US, meaning not only that you gain your skills or your knowledge, but also you can strengthen your adapting skills or your social skills. So it's gonna look good on your resume. And last but not least, one of the reasons is that students usually come to the US not only that they will study, but they can also travel. I know many of my colleagues or friends, they usually have target where they are on a summer break, they would travel, and then they would try to go to as many states as possible. There are many things to explore, there are many things to experience, so travel is one of the reasons why students usually want to go study in the United States. So as you see here, like many students usually choose because of this sophisticated labs, and also it is very open to different kind of network. And then let's get to know about the US educational system. As you see here in K-12 and in high school, after you finish your high school, you will get a certificate or diploma. Basically, it's just high school diploma. And if you're thinking about getting an undergraduate degree, you can go to right away to get a 4-year university to get a bachelor's. It could be a BS or BA. But if you see over there, you can also get a 2 years associate degree. So instead of going right away to university, you can get an associate degree by going to community college. So after you get 2 years of associate degree in community college, you can transfer. So instead of going to university, you can transfer to university to finish and get bachelor. So 2 years at the community college and 2 years at the university. And get a 4-year bachelor. So you get 2 degrees, associate degree and bachelor's degree. And after that, if you want to continue studying, you can use students usually get a master's degree. It's usually average 2 years. Some programs last 1 year. But mostly it's gonna be 2 years for masters, and then you can continue also to get a doctoral degree. It's usually lasts from 2 to 6 years. So this kind of information you gotta know in the beginning so that you have an idea what kind of a degree that you're getting. And you can check with the university whether or not the programs, how long it will last. And then, as we know, this is the next information is about admissions requirements. I wonder if anyone here wanted to study in an undergraduate degree? Anyone here? How about masters? Mostly masters, right? Okay. Can you guys tell me any important requirement or documents that you need to prepare for your degree if you are applying? What is one of the most important document? I would say not for applying. Anyone else? IBT TOEFL, correct. English proficiency test. Anyone else? Portfolio, yes. SAT for undergrad and GMAT is for masters, but that's kind of true. Anyone else? One more before we continue. Okay, let's see our list. So this is for undergraduate degree, for the 4 years in the university or in community college. So basically, one thing that you need to do is to fill out an online application. That's where you fill out your personal information, your name, your country where you're from, your address, basically to get to know about you, but also about your education, the previous education. And then, as you said, you get to have a TOEFL IBT or IELTS or PTE. And now many universities also accept Duolingo. So English proficiency test, it is required at the 4-year university, but maybe for the community college. So for community college, sometimes you can have it, sometimes it's okay if you do not have it for the English proficiency test. And then there's SAT or ACT, that's only for bachelor's degree. At the four-year university, why it's maybe there? It's because many of the university right now list it as optional, meaning that it's okay if you do not have it, but if you have it, that would be a plus value for you. So sometimes students were like, oh, is it okay if I do not submit my SAT or ACT? That's okay if the school is listed as optional, but sometimes having it would boost would boost your application. Or probably if you're thinking about getting a scholarship from the school, they can also value if you have your SAT. But your SAT or ACT is not required at the community college. And then essay or personal statement. This is one of the most important documents. It usually takes longer than any other requirements. It takes longer to prepare, and it is required at the university and not required at the community college. And then recommendation letter, required at the university, but not at the community college. But and high school transcript, of course, it is required both at the university and at the community college. But there's gonna be an interview depending on the program you're applying, and then there is no interview at the community college. So if you see here, one of the reason many students choose to go through community college is not only that you will get an associate degree after 2 years, but also it's relatively easier to prepare than going to university. But again, if you really think that you want to go study right away to the university, that is also an option. And then let's go to see what's going to happen at the graduate degree or postgraduate degree. So if you're thinking about getting a master's or PhD, as we see, it's not much different from what students for undergrad have to prepare. So you have to fill out online application for both English proficiency test, and then the GRE or GMAT is usually, again, it's listed as an optional for the master's, but it's usually required for a PhD. And then you still have to write an essay. It's usually even more than one essay. And then you have to have recommendation letter, academic transcript, work example. It's usually a resume or portfolio, depending on what programs you're applying. And then sometimes they will have an interview. Sometimes they don't. So you get to check with the programs you're applying. But for the PhD, everything has to be prepared. So you will have to list them all down. Okay, let's move on to find your best fit. I wonder if you guys here, like the people I know, you raised your hand when I asked you want to get to study at master's degree. I wonder what schools do you guys want to go? Anyone want to answer? UC? You already have an LOA at US?
UCSB.
UCSB.
University of California, Santa Barbara.
Congratulations. What was your consideration of taking that school?
Because I want to continue my career, professional career, and in UCSB, I choose Master of Technology Management. It's only 1 year, and they have very good program, capstone project. So we will have opportunity to work with Amazon, etc. And also the place. If you go to Santa Barbara, very pretty and not as crowded as Los Angeles, but only 1 hour from LAX. So yeah, that's like very beautiful campus.
Oh, wow. Have you been to the United States before?
No.
So it's gonna be the first time you go
Yeah.
to Santa Barbara,
Yeah.
especially. Oh wow, congratulations. You're gonna have a lot of good time, hopefully.
Thank you.
Okay, so as I hear from your response, one of the priorities that you have is the location, the location as well, and also the environment that you're looking for. You're looking forward to seeing when you are in UC SB. So yeah, so finding your option is, or like finding your best fit. It's not only about like, oh, I want to get to the best school. Sure. I want to study in New York. Definitely, why not? But the thing is, that has to be one of the priorities that you have. You also have to think about any other consideration, because if you see here, we have more than 4,000 accredited higher education institutions, ranging all the way from California to New York to Pennsylvania, all the way to Maine, from Minnesota up there all the way to Texas. There are so many things to consider. Is it the program? Is it the location? Is it the tuition fee? Is it the living cost? So you will have to think about so many things or priorities. So this is one of my tips if you guys thinking of on your research or researching your options. First, you have to at least make 3 categories about the schools you want to enroll. Like the first one is your dream school. The dream school is usually like one of those popular or competitive school, which is probably has a very low acceptance rate. And you will put it there because, we have to aim high, right? But not only that, sometimes people have personal reasons. Like, oh, I see one of my favorite actor or actress study in that school. Or, oh, because my mom and dad, they graduated from this school. And I want to continue their legacy. I want to study there too. Or I have a close friend. So your dream school can be different kind of priorities there. And then the next one is achievable school. I usually call it target school. Target school is usually in the mid-range one, but not impossible. But it's probably you still have to work harder than usual. I usually put something like maybe it's like a good public school or private school. So depending on like what your priorities as well, it's probably not as high as the dream school, but also not as low as in what we have in safety school, which is probably, basically your safety net if you're sure that you're gonna be accepted to that school. So you still have to think about that. So when you're researching, I suggest you to create like a Google sheet, an Excel sheet, and then you can put like the name of the school, the programs that you want to enroll, and then probably the budget, the ranking, if that's like the priority, the location, or the pros and cons that you're going to consider when you're enrolling to that school. And there are many resources that you can use when you're researching your school. One here I have, for example, is petersons.com. You can use this website to look for schools. There are college prep there or grade school prep. You can start searching from that, or you can also have it from College Board. Sometimes I use niche.com as well, or you can also use College Raptor as one of the examples. Or even if undergrad, you can also use Common App. So, when you are already studying in the US, is it possible to work as a student? Are you guys wondering if you can work as a student? So I would say it depends on what kind of visa that you hold. So yes, but the answer is yes, you can work on campus employment. On campus meaning that you can work inside of the campus area. For example, you can work with the international office or student office or library or cafeteria. But you can only work if you have an F1 visa. And if you're under different kind of visa, for example, J1 or M1, you should consult your international student advisor at at the school. But also, working at campus, you can only have like 20 hours per week. So it's basically part-time. You are also eligible to get the job or like to work on campus if you are only enrolled full-time as a student in that academic program. So if you're not a student, you cannot get that job. So it also like helps you basically, like why many students think of getting a job on campus is like it can help you save more money, because depends, you can earn around $150 to $360 per week, which is a good money if you want to save. But again, this information you should also talk with your international student advisor on campus. So what kind of services here we have at Education USA? First, we have one-on-one consultation, or if you still do not have any idea, but you do want to go study in the US, you can come to us and we can help you. We can listen to your story and giving you a guidance about study in the US. And then our service is also online. So if you are not living in Jakarta area, for example, if you live here, of course, you can stop by at Pacific Place Mall, go to Ed America, meet our advisors. But if you don't live in Jakarta area or way too far to come here, so you can also meet us on a virtual advising on Zoom or Google Meet by making an appointment. And then you can also join our webinar like today, for example. But sometimes our centers and other places in Indonesia, they also create other webinars. And as well as info session. We also have workshops, for example, an IELTS workshop, a TOEFL workshop, essay writing, or resume writing. We usually have that too. So please stay tuned on our social media for information. We can also talk or give you information about scholarship and fellowship information. As you know, right now is one of the most accessible if you want to study master's or PhD is through LPDP or Fulbright. And for undergrad, as you know, they have the Garuda, the Beasiswa Garuda. All right, so if you guys think about going to meet our advisors, you can go to calendly.com/educationusa Indonesia. Or you can also go to our website, our Instagram at EducationUSA Indonesia. You can choose any advisor. As I said, if you live in Jakarta, you can still book an appointment with our advisor, say in Makassar. And also, book only one advisor at a time and book one appointment at a time, because sometimes at the first time we would want to get to know you first and then we can decide where to go. If you move advisor, you can do that, but sometimes you will have to redo all the process from the beginning. And then please check your email. We send you invitations from email, or even if you guys want to email us, want to have any questions prior to the meeting, you can also do that. And then you can also, and please be on time. So we will only wait 10 to 15 minutes depending on how long of the appointment. If we have like 30 minutes discussion and you came 15 minutes late, we only have 15 minutes left. So sometimes advisors usually tell you to rebook another appointment or reschedule the appointment because it might need a longer time. And then again, you can check on the advisor's email, and then there is no limit. So if you guys want to see us 3 times a month, once a week, yeah, you can do that too. And then our sessions, our services here are completely free. So please stay connected. We have our Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask around. So yeah, if you have any questions, I will be here for the next few minutes, and then I can try to answer your questions. Anyone here thinking about studying in the US? Yes? Which program? From where, sorry?
MBA, but in ITB, in ITB, not in the US. But I find it fascinated because the last time out I checked what is called, yeah, the MIT that I mentioned before. Um I know it's more specifically about tech or anything related, but yeah, fascinated to see if I have ever had a chance to uh, go further. For example, like in Harvard, one of the biggest um, top university out there when it comes to like MBA, because all MBA all over the world is not the same, right, in degrees. Even with ITB, it's you cannot like make it comparable apple to apple with Harvard, but at the same time we all know that Harvard is one of the top MBAs out there. The question is, as you know, with the DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, that happened recently, right? And they cut the funding to the Harvard Endowment Fund, so that there is some rumor that say that a student in there, not deported, I would say, but it's limited compared to previous administration. So I know maybe it's kind of political. I understand. Maybe you don't answer. It's up to you. But the outlook for the rest of this administration, in particular, when it comes to the education in the US, what are your thoughts on that?
What
What are your thoughts on that?
what
Your
is my
thoughts?
thought
Yeah.
about that? I guess it depends on what you're planning right now, especially that you just finished your MBA at ITB, right? Yeah. So again, for especially for MBA, it's a very competitive school. It is a very also a rigorous program everywhere, not only in Harvard, but also if you see on my sorry, can we go back a little? Okay, so if you see in here, well, it's not basically not the list of the schools, but like Harvard is only like one small speck of the many other institutions that you have in the United States. But also it depends. If you want to wait, sure. But if you also think about applying again, I feel like applying to universities, they will need a lot of preparations. As not like we also when you apply you would want to get a good result, right? So it takes time, it takes a lot of preparation. So if you feel like you need time, you can wait, or if you want to apply, sure, you still can apply, but also remember that you have so many other options. So I feel like do not just necessarily think about applying to one school, but go and beyond. Maybe apply to different kind of schools. Maybe wait, and maybe while you want to wait, that's also fine. But if you are still thinking about like, oh, applying maybe next year or next 2 years, yes, definitely, sure, we can do that as well. Thank you for the questions. Anyone else?
Okay, thank you for your presentation, Miss. I want to ask about the service that Education USA offers. Is there any service for preparing an IBT TOEFL test? And is there any service to give advice about preparing for the portfolio? Thank you.
Definitely. So, can I ask what program are you thinking of applying and what portfolio are you thinking of having?
Now I am preparing for taking UI UX design for master degree or digital product design.
Okay. So let's go from the first question first about if we have any, how could we help you with your TOEFL IBT or IELTS? So with Education USA Advisor, here we do not have a service that's specifically teaching you, for example, like, oh no, we're not experts in TOEFL IBT or TOEFL or IELTS basically, but we do have workshops or webinar info sessions about specific English proficiency tests. For example, last week we just had a session about TOEFL IBT. I guess a few months ago we had a workshop in IELTS. So we invite speakers, facilitators, and the expertise, and then teach students to about IELTS or about TOEFL or about PTE. We also had a session about PTE. So my suggestion would be either to visit the Ed America YouTube, and you can still probably find the videos, or make sure that you're updated to our future events because we might probably have another sessions in a few months. And then the second questions about the portfolio. I guess first things also like make sure that you have all the how do you say like the karya that you already have, the works that you already had before.
The work that I
The
have
works exactly that you already had before, and also you can pile it. Some people would like to put it in a like very good such a presentations. They use many kind of tools, or you can also put it on LinkedIn. Sometimes for the university, if they ask you to have a portfolio, sure, you will have to do that. Some other people would also usually just put it on their resume. So it depends on like what the portfolio is asked by the school as well. It's required by the school. So make sure that you also check the requirements. If they ask you for a portfolio, then you will have to prepare it. But if they just ask you to submit a resume, then just submit a resume. And then you can put everything else, say, on LinkedIn. So you can also do that.
So I can ask about the advice for the portfolio at Education USA.
We can give you a general or basically like a general idea about what we think. But again, we're not expert, especially in one specific subject. I would suggest you also to probably reach out to friends or the alumni or the current students that is currently studying that specific study or subject. You can reach them on LinkedIn, for example, or on social medias. So
Okay.
yes.
That's a good advice. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any other questions?
Ask again.
Yeah.
All right, so good. Yeah, so when it comes to like right, there is this accreditation that you mentioned again and before, as you previously mentioned before, that you need to go beyond other school. I mean, how to check that this particular school is top rated or top accreditation school, and then the second one is like about Fulbright. I know right now, not only in the US but Indonesia open like efficiency, right? So they cut the funding about the scholarship. So when it comes to like PhD, if I were to pursue one, uh, what other what is called? Yes, scholarship that maybe we need to find. I need to find because we cannot rely on those two particular mentioned like LPDP and Fulbright, right? So maybe they have still some, but the percentage get deteriorated and reduced over time. So maybe just that's pretty much about the question, you know.
Okay. About the accreditations, you can actually check if their school are accredited. So 4,000 accredited universities is right now that they have. And then you can check, you can go to their websites. There are several also websites that you can check whether or not the schools are accredited. But again, sometimes when we want to go safely, as you know that many of the LPDP, they have lists, right, of US schools. And there are ranges not only from the top rank, but also different kind of school, public schools, state school, private schools. You can also go from there, especially if you're looking for a scholarship. And as you said, like maybe we can continue about the scholarship one. I guess it depends on what study level that you're looking for. As you said, that you are already graduated from MBA. If you're thinking about applying to LPDP or Fulbright, they will not allow you to apply for second master's, which means you can continue for PhD. And if the schools have any other any scholarship, usually for a PhD would be plenty of opportunities. More probably if you're thinking, yeah, maybe not LPDP, not applying for LPDP or Fulbright, then you can ask the university whether or not they will support you or they have funding that you can apply, and then you can apply. So yes, you can also check with the universities, especially if you're thinking of getting a PhD.
Really, it was not really a scholarship because it involves long time, right? Maybe like 4 years doing the PhD. But they offer like partially funded, you know, partial funded, not fully funded. So maybe that's another solution that I can see from this particular application when it comes to a PhD.
Then check with the school. Yes, especially again, it's with PhD. I mean, if you're thinking of applying to scholarship, the most accessible scholarship right now is either Fulbright or LPDP. So if you're thinking of, oh no, I'm probably not going to apply for both for the personal reason, then check with the schools that you're going to apply, whether or not they have a financial aid that you can use or funding that you can use. Okay, is there any other questions?
I think first of all, it depends because
Can
I'm
you
still
please speak louder, please?
oh, maaf, maaf.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about taking to America or Europe, but in America, in my mind is Colorado University.
Okay.
Maybe you can tell me about Colorado University. It's like what? Maybe I'm still thinking about it.
Sure. Well, what can I tell you about Colorado? Well, to be honest, not much because I never live in Colorado. I never travel there. However, as you see here, first, this is probably like one of the reasons why you're studying in the US. So when you're thinking about studying, say in Colorado, or like which university in Colorado, because there are probably a lot of universities down there too. Check if they have your program.
Okay.
Make sure that the programs that you're going to apply, they have it in the university. How is the program? Is it flexible enough for you? Does that resonate? Do you have the same value? How is the life experience? Again, you can reach out to people, alumni. You can look for them at social media, say LinkedIn. Or right now, we also have Permias. It's a Indonesian Student Association. You can reach out to them on social media and ask, is there anyone here studying in Colorado? Because I'm interested in studying in Colorado, and I have a lot of questions about Colorado. So you can also do that. But also think about this one.
Okay. Maybe are there any recommendation instead of Colorado?
Again, it depends on what kind of priority that you have. Do you like living in a cold? Because if I remember, like if I have to think about Colorado, I will think about the Rocky Mountains, very good place with snow, skiing. Is there any? So if you see, the climate are also very different. So if the weather is one of the reasons why you're studying in there, think about that. Or maybe say Colorado because it's a small state or like small cities in Colorado. So there are many other states that probably have similar situations. Or is it the program? Or is it the living cost? So think about what kind of priorities that you have. You can also research about those places. So if you go to Education USA booth later, we have this one flyer that probably contains more information about that. So you
Okay.
can come and get it later.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. One last question.
Okay, I'm interested with what you said regarding the cultures, regarding the cultures in US. I'm curious, like whether uh, you can give advice. For example, like US very broad, right? We have red states and blue states. You know what I mean? And it depends on your preference and how you want to fit in and blend in. So, is there any advice or like, oh, if I want to study in certain area, I have to prepare this, or like, oh, this area much more conservative, so I have to do this. Like, is there possible that America be able to advise something like that? Thank you.
Okay, maybe I can answer that based on my own personal experience because I got that a lot before I went to the United States. At that time I studied in Michigan, and people said something about like, oh, Michigan being a conservative state and this and that, and I was also like listening all those. I had never been to the United States before, and I was also like had a lot of concern like, oh, am I gonna be able to adjust? And then when I lived there, apparently it's so different from like what the concerns that I had in mind. People are they are really kind to me. They never really asked me about why am I wearing a hijab, especially I guess you can see me, I'm wearing a hijab. So definitely people were probably thinking about, oh, she's a Muslim and this and that. But like, I never really had that kind of experience before. So I would also like suggest you to check with the university what kind of programs, not only the programs, but also what kind of a community that they have. Maybe living in a smaller cities would usually like because you live in a closer knit communities and it's a college town. People are more educated. People are more into getting to know more about international students, so that the community is so different. So sometimes, again, as we read in the news about this and that, about all those negative informations, it's not necessarily negative, but also concerning informations. Sometimes when we go there, that's why I connect with people that is probably already there, like getting to know the people or like the community that is already there is usually like a good start. So yeah. Okay, so everyone, thank you so much. I had a wonderful time talking about Education USA. And here, as I said again, if you have any questions, please feel free to book a session with us, with Education USA. Please please book an session with us. Through calendly.com/educationusa Indonesia. I'll give it back to Andrea. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Kame, and thank you so much for everyone who came here today for participating to our event. And earlier, before this event started, I asked a little trivia question, and the question was, which university hosts the highest number of international students in the United States? And the answer is C, New York University. Congratulations to Audriano Venata from Instagram for answering the question correctly. And if you find today's event interesting, please follow us on our social media. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at AT America, and we also have YouTube channel and newsletter as well. So please consider subscribing to it. And with that, we have reached the very end of today's event, everyone. Thank you so much for coming with me, Andrea, and see you at the next At America event. Bye bye. Thank you.